welcome all of you to this press conference. Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine has brought war to Europe. And in this war, Putin is using energy as a weapon and has put Europe, as we all know, on the brink of an energy crisis with skyrocketing energy prices and high inflation. It is clear for everyone that gas and electricity prices are a serious challenge to all Europeans. For our households, for our industry, we need to discuss this together, also at a European level, and we need to look at all options. I welcome that you, Ursula, will look urgently into a way forward in all these different aspects. At the same time, as all of you know, we are facing a climate crisis in the Baltic Sea. As we stand here together today, we are the front line of European energy security, and we are sharing a huge potential for offshore wind. I'm very honored to have the President of the Commission, you, Ursula, and my Baltic Sea colleagues by my side today. I think we today have taken a very important step. With the Marine Board Declaration, we have agreed to build an even closer cooperation on energy and green transition. We need to put all necessary instruments to use to free us from Putin's gas and energy. But as long as we depend on fossil fuels, we will be at a risk, all of us. So we have to speed up the green transition. We have agreed to increase offshore wind in the Baltic Sea sevenfold by 2030. That is more than the current wind offshore capacity in the whole of EU today. We have to integrate our energy systems closer together and step up also the political cooperation. And that is why I have invited all of you today. First of all, thank you, all of you, for participating today. And I am very happy that we have been able that we have taken so ambitious decisions. It is extremely important for the climate crisis and because of the war in Ukraine. That was the few remarks from starting point, so I will pass the floor now to you, Kaja. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mette, for organizing this very timely event. As you said, Danish energy reforms are also a very good example for all of us and role model for a long time. And I'm very glad to be here today with my colleagues to seek solutions to enhance and boost transition to renewable energy resources and cut ourselves from Russian energy because they are using this as a weapon. After rounds of interesting discussions, we have agreed on a joint declaration to increase the cooperation for bettering energy security and independence, namely through offshore wind energy. And here I'm glad that we have a common ambition for offshore wind capacity that will increase 7 times. Offshore wind will help us to produce more affordable and clean energy and decarbonize our gas systems thanks to the hydrogen production. What is also very important is having better connections with neighbors. A key example is the ongoing project of synchronization of Baltic electricity grids to Europe, where I'm very thankful for the European support as well. To fulfill the offshore targets, Estonia has proposed also the Baltic Offshore Grid Initiative, which aims to commonly plan and develop necessary grid infrastructure in the Baltic Sea, and we also discussed this today. I'm very glad that Estonia is developing, together with Latvia, joint offshore wind farm, and today we heard from Ursula that it's also included to be a European project, so we are very proud to be part of this. And I'm also very glad that we are working together to be more interconnected by increasing cross-border capacities and links, as well as working towards a functioning common energy market in our region. And all this is to have more affordable energy prices. Estonia is also planning to adopt an integrated planning permit for offshore wind to simplify development. And also today we discussed how we have to proceed with the common planning procedures for the projects that are European. We will announce in Estonia several new renewable energy tenders in coming years in order to have more investments to energy. And of course, although becoming sustainable is a long-term goal for all of us, Russia's invasion in Ukraine has increased this speed of this process, and we will stand for stopping the use of Russian energy as soon as possible by using more renewable energy resources altogether. And if we are not using Russian energy, we are not fueling the war in Ukraine either. And I also hope and express my hope that we are able to cut all imports of Russia's energy to European Union for good. We cannot simply use the energy resources of an aggressor while Russia is torturing, killing people in Ukraine. By that, I will conclude. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now the Prime Minister of Finland, Sanna, the floor is yours.
Dear Mette, dear colleagues, representatives of the media, I want to thank Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen for inviting us to this important event to discuss energy security in the Baltic Sea region. Our discussion today shows that we can do a lot together in strengthening the security of supply by increasing renewable production and interconnectors. Russia's cruel war against Ukraine has affected us all in many ways. Russia is using energy supplies as a tool, as a weapon, to put pressure on our societies. Europe's dependency on Russian fossil fuels must come to an end as soon as possible. We are now moving towards that goal. Finland has already cut out ties to Russia's gold, coal and oil. The gas pipeline deliveries also came to an end already months ago. Our meeting today is important as we are facing the current challenges together in Europe, and together we have the possibility to embrace the change. The energy crisis shows that Europe needs strategic autonomy also in energy supply. We can't rely on authoritarian states as partners in supplying goods and energy that are crucial for the security of our nations and our citizens. By speeding up the green transition and moving away from fossil fuels, we can combat climate change and also increase our strategic autonomy. The Baltic Sea region countries can contribute to energy supply security both in our own region and more widely in the European Union. To do that, we need an increase in the production of renewables in all of our countries and better interconnections. In the current situation, we need solidarity and unity in Europe. This is crucial. Finally, I want to thank the President of the European Commission. Ursula, the Commission's input has been most valuable throughout the crisis, and I'm waiting for further contributions when the European Council soon meets again and discusses energy issues. Finland is ready to contribute positively in order to find solutions that will help Europe through the period of shortage of supply and rising prices in the upcoming months. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now the Prime Minister of Latvia, Kristianis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mette, for inviting all of us. Greetings to everyone. I think all of us know the story from the Bible, from the Old Testament, where the father is explaining to his sons the strength of a single twig, that he gives the twig to his son and he breaks it, he gives another one and he breaks it, and then he gives the whole bunch together and they cannot break it. And he says to his sons, this is the way you must live. If you try to do it on your own, you will be broken like the twig. but if you stick together, you cannot be broken. And here we are very symbolically standing together as that bundle of sticks in the European Union. We have a very clear task in front of us. It's difficult, but it can be done. Russia's brutal war in Ukraine creates the imperative for us to decouple our economies from Russia and, crucially, to stop our common energy dependence on Russia. This can be done not on a one-by-one basis, but when we all work together. Working together on interconnectors, working together on renewable energy projects, working together to get the legislation, the European and the national legislation in place to get the permitting process for these very needed projects up and running. And if we continue to work together as we have so far, if we consider our support for Ukraine, providing weapons, providing finances, providing humanitarian aid, it came without question, it came from all of us. The same spirit we need to maintain in doing a task which will take a little more time, is maybe a little more difficult, but it is decoupling our energy dependence on Russia, getting rid of this energy dependence, moving into renewables on joint projects. This is what we talked about today, and this is what we will solve together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Gitanis, President of Lithuania.
Thank you, dear Mette, for hosting this very important meeting, and I hope very much that it will be not one-off event, and we will have the possibilities to continue our discussions on a regular basis. Russia's war in Ukraine has become a push for energy transformation in Europe. The rose-tinted glasses have fallen off. Many leaders in Europe have finally realized that Russia is not a reliable partner in any field, especially in energy, using it as a tool of political manipulation and blackmail. Russia has weaponized energy once again. The price of gas has increased 10 times. Electricity prices are breaking records. 4 euros per 1 kilowatt hour for Lithuanian electricity consumers is neither justified nor bearable. I call the European institutions to act swiftly on price tackling measures on the European Union level. Lithuania came to realize that moving away from Russia's energy resources is an absolute necessity much earlier. Decades ago, we took strategic decisions that increased our energy independence. Thanks to LNG and oil terminals, electricity grids to Sweden and Poland, Lithuania was able to refuse the imports of Russian oil, electricity and gas in April 2022. However, this does not guarantee full energy security. The Baltic countries still have to break away completely from the Russian electricity grid. We must complete synchronization with the continental Europe grid. I call for accelerating the implementation of the Baltic synchronization project. I also thank European Commission and personally you, President von der Leyen, for taking very active role in this. The future of energy is to move away from fossil fuels to renewables. Wind, photovoltaic, green hydrogen and flexible energy storage. To do that, we need political will and commitment. Lithuania is determined to follow the green path and is committed to make a SWIFT together with the Baltic Sea region. The Green Deal is also our deal. Europe is standing on the verge of the energy transformation. It is time to make the strategic decisions that will determine the future of energy. It might be challenging, no doubt. I see it, though, as a historical opportunity for the European Union to become energy secure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mette, for organizing this very important summit. This is, a very important summit exactly in the context of the energy transformation, which is one of the most critical tasks for all of us. But I don't want to repeat with everything what was said. I agree with all what my predecessor said. I just wanted to make a couple of comments linking or connecting some dots on this picture. What is today the symbol of energy system in the context of the Baltic Sea? These are probably for many people Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipes. These are the two pipes which enabled Putin to attack Ukraine. I'm absolutely certain that without those two pipes, he would not dare attacking Ukraine, because there would not have been another route to transfer his gas to Europe many years before he dared to attack Ukraine for the first time, 2014, and then on the 24th of February this year. So the real price for cheap gas, cheap energy, as some people would have hoped for this, is the blood of Ukraine. And this is the challenge of nowadays. We cannot talk about energy transformation as a separate challenge. Energy transformation should be supplemented, should be corresponding, compatible with energy security. There is no real energy transformation without energy security. Russia today has wrapped a web of energy dependence around some member states of the European Union. And this is a kind of deadly web. So we need to collectively find solutions to counteract those attacks, because I view the Kremlin policy as the attack on us, on the European Union. And this is why this is a time to think out of box. And just two ideas in the mode of out of box thinking. One, affordable ETS system. Why to add on very high electricity prices another 90 or 100 euro in the form of ETS allowances? We can revert back to the system the moment we secure energy for all of Europe and we bring back peace to Ukraine. And second idea is around pricing mechanism. I believe that Putin is now sitting and laughing at us because some of the mechanisms, pricing mechanisms, which we have created as the complex system in Europe, are dependent on us, but we are not changing them, dependent on the European Union, and we are not changing them, whereas they are enhancing the painful policy made by Putin, made by Russia. And by this I mean changing philosophy of the pricing mechanism, calculations around merit order, marginal prices, and they all should be changed right now for the sake of cheaper prices for our companies and our citizens. We have to have reliable partners. This is why this summit is also so interesting, not only from the point of view of security, but also future cooperation. But long-term is now in contradict with short-term. Long-term, I fully subscribe to all offshore wind farm strategies. Poland is also planning huge wind farm investments. But right now we need stable delivery of stable supply of electricity, affordable electricity prices, and secure energy system. And this is why I believe that we should also think about all sorts of different actions to push back Russia's effort to destabilize us. And this morning I spoke to Garry Kasparov and Mikhail Khodorkovsky in Warsaw, and we were of the same view as many of us here, standing here, that we should stop giving visas to Russian citizens. I think that this is yet another tool of putting pressure on the Kremlin, and this is an appropriate one. So, all in all, we all agree that huge transformation is ahead of us, but all should be viewed in the context of this tragedy of war and atrocities happening in Ukraine, and this is why we should focus on the short-term solutions which are not only bearable, affordable for our citizens and our companies, but also contribute for the win, for the victory of Ukraine, which I hope will happen in not so distant future. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. And then finally, President of the Commission, Ursula, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, dear Mette. It's wonderful to be here with you, the leaders. And I think the Baltic Sea Leaders Summit shows that a wind of change is blowing across Europe. We're harnessing the power of wind to break free from Russian fossil fuels and to become climate neutral. And offshore wind energy can make a huge contribution to that. With the targets that have been set today, Baltic Sea offshore wind will cover the energy consumption of around 6 million households by 2030. That is more than the number of households in Denmark, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia combined. That's amazing. And we can do so much more. We now need regional cooperation to realize the full potential of offshore wind in Europe. So the European Commission strongly supports the regional cooperation initiatives, such as this one. We're making available 5.6 billion euros from Next Generation EU for the deployment of offshore and onshore wind in Europe. So I encourage member states to work together in using these funds. The cross-border projects are so important. We want to prioritize hybrid projects which link offshore wind farms with more than one member state. Because hybrid projects will save space, they will save money, they can cut up to 10% of project costs. And indeed, a great example, dear Kaya, is the LWind offshore wind project. And I'm very glad that today we could select LWind as an important cross-border project, PCI, because it makes it eligible for EU funding under the Connectivity Europe facility, and that is good news. One more important point is we will accelerate the permitting process. We know it's far too long, many, many years, 6 to 9 years. In the Repower EU plan, there is a proposal to speed up this permitting process. So I encourage member states to endorse the proposal and implement it. Then we could guarantee that the permitting process is less than 1 year. Now, I think it is important indeed that we look at the different topics that bring us to the electricity price situation we are right in now. And dear Prime Minister Morawiecki, dear Mateusz, I'm with you in one point. I'm not so much with you in another point. If I may mention that first, we need the emission trading system to cut CO2 emissions, because it is the CO2 that causes climate change. And we know how much the impact, the negative impact, the devastating impact of climate change is already threatening us. We just have to look at the droughts this summer. But the real driver for the increase of electricity prices is somewhere else. That is gas, and mainly Russian gas that has been manipulated by Putin. Putin, who uses gas as a weapon. And you can see that in the figures. If you look at the electricity price, 94% of the electricity price is composed of other things, mainly gas, than ETS. ETS is only 6%. Or if you look at the evolution of the price compared to last year, ETS increased by 58%, mainly because more coal is used. But gas increased by 580%. tenfold. So we should really address the driver of this electricity price increase. That's what we need to tackle. And I think climate policy is security policy, because if we invest in renewables, they are homegrown, they are clean, they are cheaper, and they make us independent. Where I'm absolutely with you, Prime Minister Morawiecki, dear Mateusz, is the pricing mechanisms of the electricity market. And you know that I've announced yesterday that we are looking into it to develop an emergency tool and to work for long-term structural reform of the electricity market. This has to be addressed. The electricity market is no more a functioning market because there's one actor, Putin, who is systematically trying to destroy it and to manipulate it. So we really have to react to that, and that's why we're addressing now the composition of the electricity market, and there I'm with you, Mateusz. Last but not least, Putin's attempt to blackmail us with fossil fuels is failing. We are accelerating the green transition. We are getting rid of the dependency of Russian fossil fuels, and we are accelerating the renewable, clean, cheaper, and homegrown renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you.
The heads of state and government will now take questions. The first question is for Danish broadcaster TV2, Rikke Hemmingsen.
Yes. How long is a short-term solution, is the short question for you guys. I heard you say as soon as possible, and I heard you say this is a big step towards a green solution to the energy crisis as well. But I think many people in the Baltic Sea region would like to know, how will this help us? The fact that you guys are standing here right now, how will this help us get through this winter? The prices are really high already. People are already struggling out there. How is the short-term solution short?
Well, if I may start, Finland has already decoupled from Russian fossil fuels because we have invested in renewables over a decade. So we have been foresighted when it comes to this situation. And now we have to make sure that we are cooperating and that we are working together, that we have the solidarity among European countries. And we need solutions, many kind of solutions. Of course, Commission has proposed many solutions, and I think all of these are very good ones. And we are also discussing more in upcoming European councils. I think the main issue is not only the production of energy, not only the interconnections, but also the prices. And I think there's much more that we can do when it comes to the prices. We are very open to discuss everything from price caps to tolls to different measures that we could use to lowering down the prices, because it's also to do with the war. The support that we need from the European citizens to help Ukraine, to make sure that Ukraine will win the war. So we have to make sure that we are taking seriously the citizens' situation now with the high energy prices.
The second question is from ZDF, Jürgen Heimann.
I have a question to Mrs. Callas, maybe your colleagues from the Baltic countries. Now, have you chosen an island as Bornholm for a grid connection between your countries, as we have between Denmark, Germany, and Sweden in future? I know you have a lot of islands there, up there, and a more severe question, short term. What importance does Finland's future NATO membership have for your countries?
Yes, thank you. When Finland and Sweden are joining, then the center of gravity of NATO moves north, and I think we can all be more secure, because then the Baltic Sea will be more secure as well. And today's topic has been the offshore wind energy, and we are talking about the energy grid. so that we are all connected to each other, but we are also able to defend what we have, also to defend the energy grid, but also the offshore, so that we can function. So I think this is only positive side that Finland and Sweden are joining. Thank you.
Thank you. We are a bit pressed for time, so short questions, please. This time from Finnish broadcaster Yle, Karoliina Kantona.
Norway has expressed its intention to limit its export of energy. So does this declaration ensure that other countries won't set any limitations to their export? Thank you.
Ursula first. I think we have a single asset that is very valuable, and this is the integrated electricity market in the European Union, because every member state experiences that at a certain time it is exporting, but at a certain time it is importing. And only because we have this integrated European energy market, electricity market, are we able to prevent blackouts. Christianis Karins was, with his example of this twigs, showing that if you're alone, then you are pretty much in a problem the moment one of your energy sources is getting short. But if you are 27, you can always compensate, and that's what we see on a daily basis.
Thank you. And then the final question to Polsat News, Piotr.
Polish Prime Minister have mentioned the need to implement visa ban for Russian citizens, but European countries are split on this issue. How can we convince countries like France, Germany, touristic hubs like Greece, Cyprus? And is there any compromise possible? One solution for all the European Union, or if not compromise, then what else?
May I? I would like to remind you the example of candidate status to Ukraine. I remember the time as many colleagues were very critically negative about possibility to grant the candidate status to Ukraine. But it took about several months, and the situation changed, and the opinion, the mindset has changed. I hope that we will have wonderful opportunities to meet each other in European Council and to discuss this issue, because I think this is not fair to see this bloody war in Ukraine, letting people die, civil people die, destructed infrastructure, and at the same time, the Russian tourists here in the kurorts of Europe. This is not acceptable, and of course, especially not acceptable looking with the eyes of the Baltic countries and Scandinavian countries.
Thank you very much. That wraps up this part of the press conference. In 10 minutes' time, there'll be an opportunity for press pools. For those of you that have made such arrangements, they will be in front of Marienborg. Then subsequently, at 6 o'clock, we'll be resuming the press conference with the press conference of energy ministers, where there will be a signing ceremony of the energy minister's declaration